it's Elizabeth, and today I'm doing my May wrap-up and June TBR. As you may have noticed, I'm always late with this video, so I only read 3 books in May, but I have already read 5 books so far in June, and I am bound and determined to read at least 10 this month. I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the ones that I've already read so far. Yeah, tell you guys about the ones that I am planning to read the last half of the month. So in May, one of the books that I read, that's the only one that I actually have, is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I absolutely loved it. I kind of spoiled it for myself by flipping to the back just to see how many pages there were, and I saw a sentence that kind of ruined it. As I kept going, I was like, how are we gonna get to what I spoiled myself for, you know, so I was still actually surprised about how this whole thing came to a conclusion even though I spoiled it for myself, and that is pretty amazing. And she did it like really, really well. I love her writing, I love this story, I absolutely love this book. And I read 2 books from the library. I read The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it was okay. Like, I really liked the premise of it, and the writing was pretty good. But, like, the characters were kind of bland. Like, Tana, like, she was just kind of like this plain, ordinary girl, and all of a sudden she gets to Cold Town and she has, like, ninja moves. Like, that just was not believable. And how just like the way that she like took charge and stuff, I just kind of didn't buy it. I mean, it's better than Twilight, which is not saying much, but it is. I mean, I didn't hate it. But yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy the book. Let's just say that. And then the other book that I read in May, which was also a library book, was Frog Music by Emma Donoghue. I also gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. Like, I liked the story, and I liked the plot and the characters. The characters were really real people. And the writing, in some ways I really liked it, you know, like the description and stuff like that. But then it was a non-linear plot line. It was kind of like 2 plot lines kind of told at the same time. There was like, this is not a spoiler because it says it in the synopsis. But the main character's best friend is murdered. And then it kind of has events from before the murder and events from after the murder, kind of like back and forth, but it's like there's only like a week between those 2 plot lines, so it would have made so much more sense to just tell it linearly. So yeah, those are the 3 that I read in May. And the 5 that I read in May so far, the first 2 were library books that I don't have anymore. But the first one was Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. I don't know why, I was just compelled to try Sarah Dessen. I mean, looking at the covers, I didn't think I was going to like her at all. Like, look at this cover. Like, this is not something that I would read. All of her covers are like really cheesy. And, I mean, I know it's pretty superficial, but I usually think, you know, like, if the cover is cheesy, the book is probably cheesy. But I read Just Listen, and it was surprisingly complex. It was not all about romance. There was no insta-love. And it was just like a really real... I hesitate to say contemporary, because to me contemporary is a time period and not a genre. But this really exemplified what other booktubers mean when they say contemporary. So I actually really liked it. I think I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. And I have since picked up 3 more Sarah Dessen books, so I liked her a lot, which I was kind of surprised about. Yeah, but then the second book that I read this month was the one by Kira Cass. I'm really glad that this series is finally over. I'm pretty satisfied with the ending. It was just really frustrating to get there. I feel like it could have been a 400-page standalone and it'd been fine. But instead it was like 300-page books in a trilogy, and it was too much. It was too much. But I'm glad I read it. I'm glad it's over. Done. Okay. And then the next book that I read so far this month is Habibi by Craig Thompson. This is a graphic novel. Hopefully there's no boobs on this page, because this girl is naked, like, literally 75% of the time that you see her. But she is a prostitute, so that kind of makes sense. While I was reading it, I kind of thought that her nudity was excessive, but then after I finished it, I kind of realized that her nudity kind of parallels how she feels like her body is not her own, and kind of her vulnerability as a prostitute and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a really compelling story. The artwork was beautiful. I'm gonna see if I can find this page. But they were explaining how, like, in Arabic writing, there's a word that you can write, like, in any way, because it's, like, looping. So yeah, these are all a word, but written as, like, a drawing. Yeah, and language and literature and literacy were really big themes in this book. So that was another thing that I really loved about it. But then it also takes place over a span of about 20 years? Yeah? So you really get to see these characters grow and become adults. But it was just really well done. Yesterday, I finished Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. This came out last Tuesday. It was on the 3rd that it came out. But yeah, this is about a retired detective who is trying to track down a man who ran over a bunch of people who were standing in line outside of a like a job fair kind of thing. And yeah, it's not really, I don't know if it's really a departure from Stephen King's usual style, you know, because this is entirely based in reality, but it's definitely a departure from what I have read from him so far. I really liked it. It was really believable, really intense and thrilling. Yeah. I highly recommend that you guys check this book out. It's a very different feel from most Stephen King, but it's still pretty amazing, so yeah. And then today I finished Bossypants by Tina Fey. I freaking love this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It was hilarious, and there's tons of pictures in here, and I also listened to the audiobook, which Tina Fey read herself, and I laughed out loud several times, and there was also audio from SNL clips. So yeah, this is just really enjoyable, really relatable. I love her self-deprecating humor. I can really relate to that. yeah, and like her creativity and her drive to be a part of not just television and you know, like the entertainment world, but like specifically comedy. I feel like that's really, really awesome that she's so passionate about comedy. So yeah, I really love this, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't read it before. Look at that face! I am currently reading, this is just the book jacket, but Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. Ruin and Rising comes out today. I pre-ordered it, but I need to read this one first, obviously. So I've only read the first chapter, but I absolutely loved Shadow and Bone, so I'm really looking forward to this one. But I am also planning to read a couple books that I didn't get to last month that I really wanted to read, and one of those is We Have Always Lived in a Castle by Shirley Jackson. You might have seen the ridiculous Clover slide in my last, whatever that was, the April wrap-up my TBR video, but I thought that this was about a family of like murderers, and their cousin comes to live with them, and they have to kind of adjust their lifestyle. That was not even close. It is about two sisters, and one of them was just acquitted of murder, and then when they go to live with their family, the one sister has to protect the one who was acquitted from their cousin, who's kind of a weirdo, I guess. So yeah, I was really mistaken on what this was about, but I still want to read it anyway. Like, that still sounds like a pretty awesome story. And I also want to read Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn this month, because as you guys might have noticed by now, I love Gillian Flynn, so I need to read this book ASAP. The next book that I am planning to read this month is The Shining by Stephen King. I picked up Dr. Sleep, which is actually right here, at that Whale of a Sale book thing that my library did, but I haven't actually read The Shining, so I decided to pick this up and read it this month so that I can get to Dr. Sleep soon. Dance 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 by Haruki Murakami. This is about a man, he's kind of like a journalist type guy, but he is looking, there was a hotel that he went to like a long time ago, and he's trying to, he tried to go back to it, and then it was gone, and there was like this huge hotel there instead, but they kept the same name, and everyone that he asks keeps denying that there was a hotel there before they were there, and like security is increased when he tries to ask about it. So yeah, I mean, I really love Haruki Murakami, but I have been noticing quite a few similarities between this and Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World. I mean, I'm still going to read this book anyway, but it just feels kind of strange that there are so many similarities. And then I'm also planning to read Blankets by Craig Thompson, who also wrote Habibi. This is also a graphic novel, but Habibi was about a prostitute and a little boy in a Muslim country. It doesn't say which one, but this is kind of semi-autobiographical about, or maybe it's not just semi, maybe it's just completely autobiographical, but it's about this guy growing up in rural Wisconsin. So yeah, those are the books that I read in May, books that I read so far in June, and books that I'm planning to read the rest of June. Let me know down below, without spoilers, if you guys have read any of these and what you thought. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!